Welcome to Master 2255 English Phrasal Verbs, complete course with 150 categories for fluency. This course is your ultimate guide to mastering English phrasal verbs in every context. Today, we're diving into the 95th category, academic research. Master phrasal verbs for success in studies. These phrasal verbs are essential for conducting research, writing reports, and presenting your academic work. Let's get started. First, we have look into. This phrasal verb means to investigate or research something in detail. For example, the professor asked us to look into the causes of climate change, or they're looking into new methods to improve student learning outcomes. Next is find out. This means to discover or learn something, often by researching or asking questions. You might say, we need to find out if this theory is supported by the latest studies, or she found out that her hypothesis was correct after conducting the experiment. Carry out refers to performing or executing research, tasks, or experiments. For instance, the scientists carried out a series of tests to verify their hypothesis, or students are required to carry out a survey as part of their final project. Come up with means to generate a new idea, plan, or solution. You could say she came up with a brilliant research question for her thesis, or the team came up with a new approach to analyze the data. Go over means to review or check something like notes, data, or assignments. For example, make sure you go over your essay before submitting it, or the professor went over the key points from last week's lecture. Draw up means to create or prepare a formal document, plan, or outline. You might hear, we need to draw up a research proposal before starting the study, or the students drew up a detailed timeline for completing their thesis. Put forward means to present an idea, theory, or proposal for discussion or consideration. For instance, in her paper, she put forward a new theory on human behavior, or the scientist put forward a possible explanation for the unexpected results. Work out means to solve a problem, calculate a result, or understand something. You could say, they worked out the formula needed to complete the experiment, or we need to work out how to analyze this large set of data. Write up refers to turning notes or research into a formal written report or document. For example, after the experiment, you'll need to write up a full lab report, or the researchers wrote up their findings for a peer-reviewed journal. Break down means to divide something into smaller parts to make it easier to understand or analyze. You might hear, the professor broke down the complex theory into 3 simple steps, or let's break down the data into smaller categories to see the trends more clearly. Figure out means to understand, solve, or discover how something works. For instance, the student figured out how to use the new research software, or it took them weeks to figure out the cause of the experimental error. Set up means to arrange, prepare, or organize equipment, tools, or research conditions. You could say, we need to set up the lab before starting the experiment, or they set up the data collection system to record accurate results. Follow up refers to checking in or continuing to track something after an initial action. For example, the researcher followed up with participants to collect more feedback, or don't forget to follow up on the results of the experiment to ensure accuracy. Lay out means to present or explain something clearly and in an organized manner. You might hear, the professor laid out the key points of the lecture in her presentation, or the research paper lays out the arguments step by step. Finally, run through means to quickly review or rehearse information, procedures, or plans. For instance, before the presentation, we'll run through the key points one more time, or they ran through the experiment procedures to ensure everything was correct. These phrasal verbs are essential for conducting, presenting, and explaining academic research. Practice using them in conversations about your studies, projects, and assignments, and they'll soon become part of your daily academic vocabulary. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.